period, have that iconography within the image. Now, each artist, however, given the ingredients, saying, okay, this is the list from head to toe, the nose, the different mouths, the breath, the ha in the chest, the fists, the bent knee, the perched feet, the perched claws. This is the list. How do you, as an artist, then portray it? This is why there are no two ku alike. And if you do see them alike, one has copied the other at a later time. Now, the problem that we have today is this language is very poorly understood. My husband took 40 years in deciphering this language. His grandfather carved, his granduncles carved. They're from Molokai. They didn't leave much to him in ways of the intellectual precepts and concepts of the art form, but they left with him the instinct of knowing what is wrong. So therefore, then he had to find what was right. And for him, it's very important. If you are going to do any type of art form, Hawaiian art form, Maoli art form, then you really have to know the foundation upon which it was built pre-contact time so that you can take it into the present and then interpret it with those ingredients that were presented to the ancestors so many years ago. It's a challenge, but everything that my husband does, he does it so he feels if he can do it, everyone can do it. We are very much against the abuse of this art form because you will see ku in Mai Tai cups and glasses, on napkins, on cloth, especially in Kona, on everything, in everything, gracing the lobbies, in styrofoam, somebody's backyard, on the lanai, without realizing that this is a living and breathing element that was extremely sacred to the Maoli people in pre-contact times. Now, there are some people, like my husband, who continues to believe this, who continues to live by this. And there are some who don't, who just take it as that. A form of decoration. Thank you, Nat. Excuse me. The horrendous cottonmouth. So, and that's the problem we have. The problem we have is to try, and we have tried over the last maybe 30 years to go to all of these places to say cease and desist. This is a treasured component of our culture. Do no longer put them on your napkins and in your Mai Tai glasses. And do not. My husband has turned down so many commissions of creating the ku for the lanai. So many. He won't do it. And now he's gone to the point that when he does create ancestral imagery or elemental imagery, it's for his private self. Or if it's commissioned for another Maoli person who has commissioned him to do something for the family, the genealogy, then he'll do it. The Nalehua Helele is a commemorative of those who died in the Battle of Nu'uanu on both sides. He had ancestors that fought on both sides of that war. So that represents the fallen on both sides. Okay, where was I? So, when you go out into the world, the Kona world especially, because these are called Kona kus, only because they're famous from here and they were last carved here in the islands. Carved here in Kona, actually. These three, the first three that you saw, were the last three that were on the Heiau Ahu'ena at King Kamehameha Hotel. These were the three last images. And they left one by one by one until finally the last one went to Salem, to the Peabody Museum, and then no more. But even at that time, they were curiosities because Kuakini had become Christian, and he no longer had that respect for his iconography, excuse me. So he just gave them as gifts. We have an utmost respect for this work. If you don't, you neglect the embrace of the ancestor. Who do you think carved these images? The Kalaiki'i carved these images. He was a real person. The crew of Kalaiki'i were real people. The Haku Ohia, who overseered the entire project, was a real person. They put their energy and their mana into every piece. So what is happening today in our commercial, tourist-oriented world is a travesty. And we have tried desperately to stop the escalation because it continues even bigger and better than before. When Survivor came to, yes?
I was wondering if you could go back, because you were talking about the feathers, the
Yes.
dress, the expressions of the eye, and then when you got to the nose, you stopped. I would like to see how it continues down, because you did include the feet and the fists, but we missed the middle part.
Okay. Yeah, I stopped at the how. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the nose is there again, showing the passion, showing the emotion of the face. When the eyes are squinting quickly, the nose moves as well. And we have that O'oma ihu e eke is for the nose. And then you have, but then too, the nose sometimes to me portrays the beak of the io as well. Because sometimes when you see the birds, they have their nostrils on the sides. Yeah, they have those little openings on the sides and that lovely beak. Then you have the mouth. The mouth is, there again, this is the grimace that everyone talks about when they talk about the ku. This is the grimace. But this style came about from the wonderful Ku'ialua dances that portrayed the energy of the Olohe warrior. So you have that imagery ensconced within the elemental. So how do they say art? What is that phrase? Life imitates art. Art imitates life in this case, where they use many of the human components and they incorporate it within this image. So the mouth is, you have the gradations, the many steps of the emotion, how intensified the emotion is. You'll find that. You'll find sometimes 3, 4, I don't know how many are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus the teeth. Then you have the tongue, which is very important. Now, these are all components of that dance. So they incorporated within the ku, because the ku is going to show you that energy, that bombastic power that he, capital H-E, has in approaching all of those things that are relegated to man. Then you come down to the ha'ale. Ha'ale is the chest. That's where the breath of life. I said it's on the intake. There are many images that were prior to the eras that were prior to this image that shows you on the exhale where the energy is held in the bottom of the stomach. So you'll see the chest deflated and the energy on the bottom. And those who know anything about martial arts know that that is also an energy, a power that then revitalizes the energy that comes back up into your chest. You have pu'ali. Pu'ali is the malo. Each of the images were girded because they, at one time or another, through ritual, came to life. Yes.
Before you get too far away from the mouth,
Yeah.
the teeth follow a pattern where they wrap around where there's, in a way that's totally different from any animal that has teeth.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just wondering if that's a way to make it more fearsome, if the only reason why the ancients all chose to show the teeth that way rather than in an upper and lower jaw like other animals, like animals.
Well, I'm thinking it's interpretive. It's an interpretation, but it's an interpretation that's stuck. That's why I'm telling you that these images, the first images that were carved when Kamehameha returned to Kona from Oahu, these then became like, it spread like wildfire. All of the heiau, Keiki Pui Pui, which is here in Kona, Ahu'ena, and all of the heiaus in this area had their kukalepa. The kukalepa is the 11 images that are on the top 7th tier of the temple. They were all then based on this fashion. So it's like any art form. We present with each era different styles. This was a style. Because when you see the images prior to this, they look nothing like this. So it's just interpretation. It wasn't meant to look like anyone or anything. They didn't have those kinds of animals to begin with. So they had the pig, the dog, and you're talking about long snouts, and they had the rat, and that was it. So this wasn't meant to look like anyone. And it wasn't definitely not going to look human, although it does have human aspects. So that's only interpretive. But very important because it deals with the mouth. And perhaps this is why it was done that way, because it's speaking of the mouth, with the tongue, the teeth, the grin, the grimace, how fierce, how powerful the energy. When you see these images in person, then you'll understand how then that energy and that mana is conveyed to you. So we go to the pu'ali. The pu'ali is the malo that is worn by all images, all, large and small. So when we do exhibitions now with the Bishop Museum, we insist that, and they have a large group there of Hawaiians who work at the Bishop Museum who insist the same. When the three ku came together for the exhibition last year, the London ku was without malo. And they are all anatomically correct unless they were lopped off by the missionaries. Now, but in respect for the tradition, they have finally, after a lot of infighting, they finally allowed the Bishop Museum to gird the London ku. And I tell you that they're girded because they come to life. In ancient Hawaii, the dead walked. And I love that phrase because they believed in creative visualization to the ultimate. So when they created the ku image for the season of summer, ku is the summer element. When the temples are open, when they have high ceremony, that is summer. That is kunuia kea. Lono nuia kea is the rainy months, is winter, when the temples are closed. So every time the temple then is reopened, it is a new season. So either they refurbish the images that they already have, or they make new ones. In which case, if they refurbish them, they oil them, they redress them, and they go through the same rebirthing process. All images are birthed. All of them. They are given life. Once they are given life through a very complex ceremony, then they are girded. Because the testicles and the penis were very sacred to the ancient Hawaiians. So you gird even the image. If it's a male image and if it's a female image, the same, you gird them. It's very disrespectful to let them go without their malo. So that's pu'ali. And because they simulate the olohe, the koa, the warrior, the ku'ialua, because they simulate this in stance, the pu'ali, the malo was tightened, because in wartime they would tighten the loincloth so that your folk wouldn't be able to grab it. There would be nothing to grab onto. So it was always tightened and tucked. So then you have the pupulima. Pupulima, the fist, and there again, that's another dance stance. That's another ku'ialua stance, the martial art form. We have it in every Asian art form as well. So they copied that here. Then you have the aiha'a, which is very important. Aiha'a is when you bend your knees. The aiha'a is part of the dance today as well. We do have ku'ialua dances that have the aiha'a, and many of the dances from this island have that stance. You see many of the hula groups today perform their hulas with the aiha'a if they're doing those kinds of bombastic dances. And then you have the hakakau akamanu, which is the perch in which the claws of the hawk rest upon. We have a long way to come in understanding not only the imagery and understanding that it really is cultural and not religious. My husband teaches at times, and many times when he was in the process of teaching, he would get a note from one of the children's parents saying that their child could not sit in his class while he was teaching this part of the culture because it was against their religion. These are Hawaiian people. So my daughter likes to say, well, you got your job cut out for you, Dad. Because here we're trying to encourage them to embrace that which made them in harmony with nature. And this is part of it. This is an element that is in everything. Lono is in everything. Haumea is the earth mother. Hina are the daughters that blossom around you. Hiaka is all of the forest undergrowth. Pil is the meandering lava. I mean, these are the elements. And they believed that they were part of those elements. And if you don't embrace those elements, not as gods and goddesses, but as elements and as part and parcel of yourself, that it is you are they, then what are we doing? You know, it isn't enough to wear the gold bracelets with your names on it and your mu'umu'u and your feather lei. It's no longer enough to do that. You have to really know what your culture is about, the Hawaiians really. And you know, for those people who live here and are not Hawaiian, those people who visit here, hopefully visiting here because they want to know something about this place other than going parasailing. I really hope that is why that you come here, is because you want to know a little something about what made this place so wonderfully great. Those people who live here who are not Hawaiian should know where they live, should know where they walk, should know the path, and especially this coast. Holy smokes. Starting from wherever to wherever, you are walking most of the times upon sacred ground. This area where this hotel is, those two major temples, those breathtaking temples out there, this is all sacred ground. Because it wasn't just that was sacred. It was all of the ground around it that was, because they would gather, they would meet in one place, they would stay all around it, and then they would do their ritual and ceremony into the temple. So it is all very, very special. It's always a privilege for my daughter and I when we come and stay at this hotel. It is very moving for us because we know this is where history was created. But history was created up and down this coast. And if we can go to Mexico to look at the temples, why can't we come here to look at them too? They've got some fabulous temples on this island. Actually, on all the islands. But this island, my God, they have it right in your face. So my suggestion to visitors and those who live here, residents, who are not of Hawaiian blood, please go see them. You will be imbued with a wonderful energy and a wonderful understanding of who these people were and still are. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Nobody? Yes.
Can you tell me where is the name of the island and the outpour after they found it? The idol?
Icon, image, ki'i. This ku,
The three.
Heiau Ahu'ena, Kona, Kamehameha Hotel. Heiau Ahu'ena is right behind Kamehameha Hotel. That's where they were from.
Well, actually the outpour run from the mountain all the way down to the ocean,
Yes.
200 miles off. But I wanted to find out where is the location that these idols was found.
You mean the exact location,
The location exactly because
archaeologically?
Do you know where the Heiau Ahu'ena is?
yeah.
Oh,